Rickey Scoops is back, folks. Yes, everybody's favorite NFL insider who has been nailing scoops left and right, including the Jalen Ramsey trade with Miami, returned from his hiatus to drop a lot of NFL trade nuggets earlier today, including a lot on the Miami Dolphins. We're going to break it all down. I am Nick Roloff. He came out of retirement to fire off tweets about the Saints trading Chris Olave, the Patriots being aggressive for a wide receiver, the Raiders trading Jacoby Myers, and the Dolphins potentially having a fire sale, saying that they have been actively shopping Jaelan Phillips in the trade market, but also have been receiving calls about veteran Bradley Chubb, and more importantly, Jaylen Waddle and Achane. Now, you would have actually known about this sooner rather than waiting for this video. If you followed me over on Twitter at Nick_Roloff, I responded, I reacted to this report. So if you want more coverage on the Fins outside of our YouTube shows, well, that's where you go find it at Nick_Roloff. But quick reaction for the people who didn't see it over on Twitter. Sounds like Jaelan Phillips is the most likely trade candidate on this Dolphins roster, which if you've been subscribed, by the way, and watched our trade content over the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've said is the most likely player to be dealt away anyway. But the fact that teams are actively calling Chris Grier in Miami, trying to get their hands on Jaylen Waddle, Achane, just seeing how far the Dolphins are willing to sell, including some of their best young talent. And this tweet photo is pretty funny by Rickey as well, saying we're having a fire sale possibly. Certainly funny, but let's actually talk about the actual trade targets that teams have on Miami's roster, starting with Jaelan Phillips, because the Dolphins should absolutely deal him away. And I really don't think this is up for debate. I know it will sting for some fans that are fans of the Dolphins and Hurricanes, because he was a first-round pick out of the University of Miami, has been awesome. But suffering 2 major injuries to your Achilles and ACL, costing you 2 years basically, is going to raise eyebrows about the longevity that he can have. And you do not want to commit long-term financial money to a player that you never know at any given moment could just decline and fall off a cliff because of those catastrophic injuries. But at least as of right now, Jaelan Phillips has been the best edge rusher and arguably best defensive player on the Dolphins. I mean, you compare his PFF numbers and stats across the league, he's graded out as the 42nd out of 80 qualified edges, but just based off pass rushing, he's the 15th highest graded edge rusher, the 14th best win rate at 19%, and actually pretty solid in the run game as well, a 7.1% stop rate, which is 20th out of 57 qualified edge rushers. So he certainly had the best 6 games of the season compared to the rest of the Miami Dolphins defensive players. And the tape says that as well. It would also be very easy to trade him away and acquire Jaelan Phillips because he's only got 1 year left on his contract. Remember, this is his 5th-year option. So if he is traded, he is going to be a free agent. He's going to be a free agent regardless. There's no dead cap in 2026 if Miami ultimately deals him away. The only dead cap Miami deals with is this season at $4.4 million, which really isn't going to hurt you that much. And a new team, if they trade for him this week, would be taking on $8.8 million. That number will go down as the weeks progress throughout the season to that November 4th trade deadline. Like, this is a player that will garner a lot of interest. Should the Dolphins trade Jaelan Phillips? Pin comment on today's show. I'll let y'all be the GM. Type Y for yes or type N for no. Well, if they do trade Jaelan Phillips, I would anticipate it being to one of these 5 teams. The San Francisco 49ers, Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, Indianapolis Colts, and Washington Commanders. A lot of teams need pass rushing help as they make a push towards the playoffs. Ironically enough, the Dolphins have players that their division rivals would need if it's the Bills or Patriots, but I'm not trading anybody to them. So unless they overpay by a full round and a half, then no trade for you, Mr. New England and Buffalo. You might be able to get a 3rd for Jaelan Phillips, though. We've longly speculated a conditional 4th, but as he continues to improve his play on a week-to-week basis and there becomes a little bit of a bidding war and a robust market for edge rushers, Jaelan Phillips could really bloom up to the top of the list in terms of targets for other teams, especially if the Bengals don't want to trade Trey Hendrickson, which it kind of sounds like they don't. So Phillips may be the best edge rusher on the market this deadline, which could elevate his value in a return for the Miami Dolphins. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN put this report out earlier this morning saying that he thinks the 49ers will be the team that is the most aggressive squad looking for an edge rusher due to the Nick Bosa injury. Checking in on Rashawn Gary, both the Dolphins edge rushers, Jaelan Phillips and Bradley Chubb, among others, including players on the Jets and Titans. Like, the point I'm trying to make here is start the next rebuild, right? Like, you are clearly not going anywhere this season. You're 1-5. A turnaround is not in sight. So basically chalk it up as a lost season. Trade some of your valuable veterans that aren't going to be here 2-3 years from now and get started on accumulating a lot of draft capital to use in the draft or trades in the offseason. Now, the one concern that I have is that selling at the deadline might be an indicative of Chris Grier having more job security than he should. Like, he obviously needs to go. And we talk a lot about Tua and Mike McDaniel as being issues for this football team. But the root of all issues is the person making personnel decisions, draft picks, signings, and in trades. It's Chris Grier. Like, he needs to go. And if he's allowed to trade all of these veterans away, does that tell you that he might actually be someone with a little bit more job security than we think? That's a concern, and I don't like it whatsoever. More coming up here in a second, but this episode is brought to you by Amando. It's fall, folks. Crisp air, football, bonfires, and if you're like most guys, putting in hard work, that means sweat. Don't let body odor sideline you. Mando's deodorant plus sweat control is for real working guys. Clinical strength sweat control. One swipe and you're good to go. It controls both sweat and odor for 72 hours. And after just 12 hours, underarm sweat was reduced by 92%. This stuff works. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. One of my favorite things that they have are those deodorant wipes because I'm always on the go, traveling, running errands, playing basketball, golfing, and if I need a quick freshen up so I'm not smelling like body odor, well, guess what? The deodorant wipes are there to do the trick. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code CHAT. Use code CHAT at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide plus free shipping. shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Mando's got you covered with deodorant plus sweat control. Say goodbye to sweat stains and hello to long-lasting freshness. I want to go back to that tweet from Rickey because he mentioned Jaelan Phillips is the biggest name out there, and it's almost like the Dolphins are actively shopping him. But he talked about Chubb, Achane, Waddle. I want to make this as abundantly clear as I can make this clear. I would disagree and I would despise any Miami Dolphins trade that involved Jaylen Waddle or Devon Achane. There are only a handful of players that, to me, have long-term security on this football team. My 4 players that I think have long-term security and are on my no-trade list are Jaylen Waddle, Devon Achane, Patrick Paul, and Chop Robinson. Like, I think those are the 4 that you keep, you build around. Your first and second round pick from 2024, your third rounder in 2023, who's a top 5 running back in football, and your wide receiver 1, who, by the way, you already gave a extension to that he hasn't even begun playing on yet. Like, he's on his 5th-year option right now. He signed a 3-year contract extension, which begins in 2026. And his contract, I think, is very, very fair for the wide receiver market that continues to take a bump up year after year. Like, yeah, his cap hits become in the mid-30s in 27 and 28, but you can easily restructure that to lower it slightly. And even if you don't, his career progression puts him on track to be in that price range regardless. Like, we see the best wide receivers in football sign contracts worth $35 million in annual average value right now. Is Waddle in the same tier as some of those guys like Jefferson, Jamar, and Puka Nacua and Nico Collins? No, but he's certainly a top 15 wide receiver in football, in my opinion. When everybody's healthy, there just aren't many people that can be a dynamic game changer like Jaylen Waddle can be. And we've seen him flourish without Tyreek Hill over the last 2 weeks, combining for 12 receptions, 205 yards, and a touchdown. Like, there is no thought in the minds of people out there that he has had so much success because he's played second fiddle to Tyreek Hill in Miami. No, as a rookie, he had 1,000 yards and 100 receptions after being a top 10 pick out of Alabama. And when he's had no Tyreek Hill and teams focus and give him more attention, his numbers actually go up. He's arguably more productive without Tyreek Hill because he is the person that is the first read for Tua rather than it being Tyreek Hill. And we see his numbers every time Tyreek Hill has been out. So the question that you have to talk about, and I made it very clear, I am not trading Jaylen Waddle. But we have to come to the realization that I don't make the decisions. I wish we did. And I did. Because I would probably make better decisions than Chris Grier, if we're going to be honest. But let's look at some recent wide receiver one trades to gauge what Miami may get in return and a potential Waddle deal. I looked at the last 5 trades that had similar level of wide receivers at a similar age. Tyreek Hill coming to Miami, Marquise Brown going from Arizona to Baltimore, A.J. Brown going from Tennessee to Philadelphia, Devontae Adams going from Green Bay to Las Vegas, and Stephon Diggs the first time going from Minnesota to Buffalo. Common theme here. First round pick, first round pick, first round pick, first round pick, and I believe a first round pick. All 5 of these guys got a first round pick in return. And let's make this clear as well. Devontae Adams, he was about what, 29? 27, let's just say 28, 29. Tyreek Hill was certainly 26, 27. Marquise Brown was about 23, 24. A.J. Brown was 24. And Diggs was about 26. So that's the exact age Jaylen Waddle is. He's 26. So almost around the same age as all of these guys who got all first-round picks. And I would classify Jaylen Waddle, maybe not in the same tier as a Tyreek Hill because he was top 3 in the game. Devontae Adams, top 5 in the game. But Diggs was not a certified top 5 wide receiver at the time. A.J. Brown, very good, not top 5 in the game. Marquise Brown certainly wasn't at the time. So it's like, yes, if you're trading Jaylen Waddle, there is absolutely no world where you do not get a first-round pick in return. I got to be honest, I would want 2 firsts back. Will that happen? I doubt it. But I would need 2 first-round picks to feel good about trading away Jaylen Waddle. I would settle for a first and a second-round pick. But a first-round pick and a second-round pick is absolutely bare minimum. Quick, stay with me as I read some of those trades we just mentioned. The Diggs trade. The Bills got Diggs. The Vikings got a first, 5th, 6th, and a 4th-round pick. So 4 picks there. The Devontae Adams trade was a first and second-round pick in 2022. So that's similar to the pick the trade I'm talking about. The Dolphins trade with Tyreek Hill. They gave up a first, second, 2 4ths, and a 6th. And then we saw the A.J. Brown, a first and a third. Marquise Brown, 1 first-round pick. Like, you see it. All of them got first-round picks and some. So I do not think it's crazy or ludicrous to believe that I should expect 2 first-rounders or a first and a second-round pick in return for Waddle, who has had 1,000 yards in every single season of his career besides one, which was last year when Tua missed 6 games and he had to deal with Tim Boyle, Skylar Thompson, and Tyler Huntley. We're going to get to Devon Achane here in a second, but if a trade happens, we'll go live and break it down on the channels and give you all the details you need. So subscribe today and join the family. Let's talk about Devon Achane now. Similar to Jaylen Waddle, I am not trading Devon Achane. I do think I would have to contemplate trading Devon Achane if a team came to the table with a first-round pick. Because on the devil's advocate side here, he is 24, super young, but he's only got 1 more year left on his deal. 2026 is the final year of his rookie contract. So you'd have to pay him at bare minimum $15-16 million per season over 3-4 years if you want to keep him in Miami. In a team that lacks so much talent like the Dolphins, you could make the argument it is not very smart to spend that much money against your cap on a running back. So I do understand that a little bit. But I would still need a first-round pick in return if I'm trading Achane, because let's just go back to the Christian McCaffrey Panthers 49ers trade. Was McCaffrey the best running back in football when traded? I would classify him as number one. Either him and Derrick Henry back in 2022. The Panthers got a second, third, fourth, and fifth-round pick for Christian McCaffrey. But the reason why I think I should be getting a first for Devon Achane is the age difference and injury difference. McCaffrey already was dealing with injuries when he was traded from Carolina to San Fran. He was also 26 years old. Devon Achane is 24. So you're getting less mileage than what the Niners got with McCaffrey, and you're getting a cheaper player because McCaffrey was on a second contract when traded. Achane is still on his rookie. And when you look at the two in their first 3 seasons, Devon Achane has played 14 games less than Christian McCaffrey. Yet if you pace his numbers in running, receiving, and reaching the end zone, they all equal about to what McCaffrey did in his first 3 years. I mean, if you pace out these numbers, Achane is going to be right equal with McCaffrey, if not more in rushing yards, and equal, if not more, in touchdowns if you count both receiving and rushing. The only thing McCaffrey's got on Achane in their first 3 years is the receiving game. His volume was insane. It was check down city over there in Carolina with Cam Newton. But I don't think it's crazy to say that I need a first-round pick for Devon Achane. I would. CMC was 26 when traded to San Francisco. Miami would be trading Achane at 24, and he's about as productive and is about as a dual-level running back as CMC. I don't think it's crazy to say that Achane is the best dual-threat running back we have seen since McCaffrey in his prime, or just current McCaffrey. Like, nobody is better in the receiving game at running back than Achane with his speed and ability to just game or make a game-changing play any moment. So I guess if you are doing a fire sale here and you trade Waddle or Achane or trade both of them, if you're able to get a first and second round pick for Waddle and you're able to get a first round pick for Devon Achane, you could spearhead a rebuild with 3 potential first round picks this season, an extra first round pick in the future if you got 2 first rounders for Waddle, or if you just got a second, you could then have 3 first round picks this year and 2 second round picks, including maybe some mid-round picks extra if you trade Jaelan Phillips or Bradley Chubb. So you could really spearhead a rebuild if you trade those 3 guys. But your team would also not really have a future on its roster either. You'd basically need to start from scratch, and the best young player you'd have is Chop Robinson and Patrick Paul. But let me know, who is most likely to be traded? If the Dolphins trade one of their young guys, who would it be, or more likely? Waddle or Achane? Get down in the comment section. But I'll say this, and to close out today's show, things will change every single day. But I'll tell you as of right now, this is what I would do with the Dolphins rosters and trade candidates. Aaron Brewer has gotten some trade buzz because he's been a top 5 center in football, and he's only got 1 year left on his deal as a veteran. I would keep Aaron Brewer as well. I would keep Waddle. I would keep Achane. But I would absolutely trade Jaelan Phillips, Bradley Chubb, and Jaylen Wright. I would play Chop Robinson. I would keep Matthew Judon as edge 2. I would play some others as well. And I do think it would be smart to get rid of the veteran edge rushers that don't have a future with this team. Jaylen Wright doesn't have a future either. If you trade Achane, different story with Jaylen Wright. But if you keep Achane, Wright can go. All right, I'll do it for today's show. If the Dolphins do make a trade, we'll have the news on Twitter first. So go give me a follow at Nick_Roloff, where I'm tweeting about the Fins every single day.